The Mars Rovers and the Search for Life.
For many years, the planet Mars was a mystery to us. Mars is the fourth planet in the solar system. Writers imagined it as a place where aliens lived. Some scientists claimed they saw canals on Mars through their telescopes. They imagined great civilizations up there with their own buildings and wildlife and worldview. In his book, The War of the Worlds, the English writer H.G. Wells even imagined that Martians might invade Earth and we would go to war with them. Our discoveries in the last 50 years have dispelled these ideas. Now we have pictures of Mars and have even sent spaceships to examine it. The Mars Exploration Rover Project sent a pair of robots to Mars. The project taught us much about the planet. A third rover, Curiosity, was sent to Mars a few years later to search for life. There are no alien societies, but Mars has proved to be a fascinating place. There still might be some life on Mars, but, if so, it would be tiny. Still, if it existed, the consequences would be huge. The first two Mars rovers were called Spirit and Opportunity. They were robotic vehicles with a lot of scientific equipment. They had 6 wheels that were designed to drive over rough ground. They had cameras to take pictures of the wonderful landscape and solar cells to provide them power. They had a tool to grind rocks and complex instruments that could analyze the soil beneath them. They weighed 174 kilograms and were 1.6 meters long. The rovers were really amazing little vehicles. They needed to be to travel millions of kilometers through space, and Mars' surface was dangerous. There are frequent storms that ravage the landscape, and the terrain is very rocky, making travel sometimes difficult for the vehicles. The rovers were launched on spaceships toward Mars in 2003. Spirit landed first in a crater, and Opportunity landed 3 weeks later on a plane. They bounced onto the ground surrounded by soft airbags. What kind of world did they land on? Like the planet Earth, Mars has an atmosphere, clouds, winds, and polar ice caps. There are wild dust storms that sometimes rage across the surface. The Martian day is just over 24 hours long, and there are just about 668 days in a Martian year. All in all, it looks a bit like a desert. The largest volcano on Mars is 25 kilometers high, which is more than 3 times higher than Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth. The first 2 rovers sent back wonderful pictures of Mars. The red planet came to us in all its glory. Now, we don't have to imagine what it looks like. We can actually see it in photos. The most important question was whether Mars had flowing water rather than frozen water. Water is essential to life because it transports energy, food, into a living thing. It's also a great way of getting rid of waste. Wherever water exists on Earth, there are living things with it. So water on Mars could suggest that life exists there, or might have once existed there. The rover Opportunity discovered what seemed to be rocks that once lay by a salty lake or sea. This would mean that Mars was once warmer than it is now. A warmer environment would be much more likely to have life. Was Mars once a planet a bit like ours, with oceans and millions of living organisms? If so, what happened to change it? The rovers were only meant to continue for 90 days, but they were hardy enough to keep working. So they were sent driving across Mars to keep exploring. They were driven across valleys and up steep ridges. They continued to send back wonderful photos of the Martian landscape. In fact, Opportunity sent us 187,000 photos. In 2009, Spirit got stuck in soft soil. And in 2018, NASA lost the signal from Opportunity. The last transmission showed that Opportunity had traveled 45 kilometers across Mars. In 2011, a third rover called the Curiosity was sent to Mars. The Curiosity was designed to find out if there was life there. The Curiosity was much larger than the earlier rovers. It was 3 meters long and weighed 900 kilograms. The spaceship that took Curiosity drifted down to the surface of Mars using a parachute. It then lowered the rover to the ground. The rover is powered using atomic energy, allowing it to operate well during winter. The Curiosity landed in Gale Crater in 2012. The crater is very low, so if there was any water on Mars, it would have pooled there. The Curiosity took photos of gravel that had been carried by water, which means the crater was once the bottom of a river. The rover missions helped prove that there was water on Mars. In 2015, there was a great breakthrough. Along many of the craters, there were dark lines or streaks. The lines appear in summer and disappear during winter. So they are probably made by salty water running down the sides of craters. The water might be too salty to contain any life, but it's an important discovery. Even if there is not life on Mars, the discovery of flowing water suggests that water might exist on other planets in outer space. If that's true, then there could be life on those planets too. These planets are too far away for us to reach, but it's certainly an interesting thought. Perhaps one day we'll be able to send humans to Mars. There are many challenges to such a project. To begin with, it would be very expensive. A round trip would probably be more than 500 days long. That means the explorers would be gone for more than a year and a half. In some plans, they would stay on Mars for more than 2 years. Another problem is that spending time in space is bad for a person's health. Without gravity, a human's bones and muscles waste away. It's also not clear what would happen to a person's mental health over the time they were away. An astronaut might develop anxiety being away from family and friends for so long. Still, these are all challenges that could be overcome. For thousands of years, the planet Mars has held an important place in our imagination. This seems likely to continue. There are still many things to learn about the planet. Learning about it also teaches us about our own planet. Maybe one day people will set foot on Mars, just like the rovers have done. They would then look across the red planet with their own eyes. Could you be one of those people? For some people, this is an exciting idea. Others hoped that we could set up permanent bases on Mars that people could visit. Some writers have imagined in the future that we might be able to transform Mars into a planet a bit like Earth. That would be far in the future. For now, we have the information given to us by hardy little Mars rovers.
Discuss. 1. On page 20, the author states, "The most important question was whether Mars had flowing water rather than frozen water." How does the author support this point? 2. On page 23, the author states that the rover missions helped prove that there was water on Mars. How does the author support this point?